miscarriage was almost as shocking as the first, in terms of like, I wasn't expecting it at all. We had our son, he was 2 years old, and we had waited an extra year longer than we wanted our kids apart because we had gone to Abu Dhabi to travel, to teach and travel. So we taught for a year there at an international school, and we had an amazing time, and it was an experience that we'd wanted to do for a really long time. So we felt like, okay, waiting a little bit longer is okay. Our kids will only be like 3 years apart, maybe even a little bit less. We were firmly banking on the fact that both the other times that we'd gotten pregnant had been right away. And I had thought, okay, my first miscarriage, that was the random, unexplained 1 in 5 that happens, and I've got mine out of the way. So I was completely taken off guard. I was nervous because with my first miscarriage, I had like no symptoms of being pregnant. I didn't have any sickness. I didn't have any of the other symptoms like sore breasts or nausea or cravings. I didn't have any of that. So then with Ben, when I actually had a viable pregnancy and I had been like ridiculously sick for 9 weeks, that just showed me the difference. Like, having a viable pregnancy, it was like every single part of my body knew that I was pregnant 100%. So my third pregnancy then, when I had no symptoms again, I was really worried. And I thought like, oh, is this happening again? And I didn't want to let myself get excited, but how can you not, right? And you don't want to assume the worst. I'm definitely not one of those doomsday people. So I just thought, maybe, my life is really busy right now. Maybe I'm just being blessed with no morning sickness, because, this would be really bad timing for it. So I had my ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech is clicking away at her buttons, and she goes, I'm just not seeing anything in here. I see a sac, and there's nothing in it. And she goes, maybe your dates are wrong. If it's too early, then, maybe it's not showing up. And at that point, I kind of felt like 50-50 I knew, but maybe there was still a chance. Like she said, she kind of gave me this hope. So I rebooked the appointment for 2 weeks later. I still hadn't had a miscarriage, so I was really hopeful at this point. I went into the ultrasound appointment, and there was still no baby in there. And so I left that appointment really devastated. I just couldn't believe that my story was going to include 2 miscarriages. And the worst part was that she told me there was no baby, and so therefore that I was going to miscarry. And I just had to wait for it to happen. So I waited a week, and every single day was like this prolonged grief because it hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to. It's just this weird purgatory. And of course, when it finally happened, my lovely brother and sister-in-law were getting married on that day. And it started, and I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. It was 2 weeks after my ultrasound appointment. I had waited that long for it to happen, and I was even starting to feel like maybe she was wrong. Maybe we really got the dates mixed up, because it's been 2 weeks since that appointment and nothing's happened. So when it started, it was just like, oh, that grief washed over me again, and I just thought, okay, let's do this. At least I know what to expect. I got through the wedding as happy as I could, put on a happy face, and didn't want to make it about me or anything. And the next day was Sunday. We stayed at home, and that's when the real stuff started to move, and I just experienced that pain like the first one again. It was just excruciating, and I just remember laying in bed and thinking like, I need an ambulance or something. Like, I'm in so much pain, and I was just like biting on stuff and clenching my fists and like doing anything to like ease the pain. And I took pain medicine. They didn't seem to be helping at all. And for about just like 30 solid minutes, it was the most excruciating pain, just like the first time. And it's like insult to injury, right? When you're experiencing that much emotional pain and then you have the physical pain on top of it. And poor Jake is just like helpless. He can just be there, but he can't do anything. And I was laying in bed, writhing and wondering, like, maybe I need to go to the hospital. Like, maybe there's something else going on here. But literally, I'm in too much pain to get myself into the car. And I'm bawling my eyes out, and then it was kind of like it just ended. Like, it was just over. Like a light switch. It was like excruciating pain for this amount of time, and then it was like done. And the rest of the miscarriage is just kind of like a period, and then it was time to deal with the emotional pain, which was similar to the first time because, again, I wasn't expecting it. There was a new component though, and that was that when you start to like be excited for not just the baby, but like the nursery and the name and telling people and how are you going to tell people, and you're going through Pinterest and you've made a new board and there's just like so many things you're excited for, thinking about like, okay, who of my friends has kids in the same school year, and you just go through so many exciting things, right? And so facing the disappointment at every single one of those things, but the worst one was thinking about Ben, and like we had told him that, you know, there was a baby coming, and he didn't fully understand it, but he somehow kind of understood it when we told him that wasn't happening anymore. And that was like so heartbreaking because you're excited to give your kids siblings. I love my siblings, and I love my husband's siblings, and we're quite close. And so, you know, I'm thinking of that as like the ultimate gift for Ben, is like these people to go through life with, right? So that was a new part of the grief for me than the first one. And that was pretty bad. I would say it was probably about a week or two again that I had to go through. Personally, I went straight back to work just because I talk about this in another video as well, but it helped me take my mind off of it. I was able to not let it affect me do my job well, and so that was my number 2 story. And it wasn't really until the third one that I just started to kind of tell people more often, and more people, that what was happening with me as well. And part of that was because it happened at work. So that's story number 3. But thanks for watching. I would love to hear your stories. It's October 15th. It's National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. Share your story. Be vulnerable with me. I would love to be there for you. You're not alone.